what do you tell people if you think their planning is stuck in neutral? How do we help the clients get out of that position of neutrality and kind of stuck in the mud?
Well, I think it becomes first as a mindset, right? People are used to doing an annual planning budget. Obviously, as we've seen this year, that's kind of gone into the trash in the first 3 months of the year. So it's really a matter of saying, okay, I want to start looking and I want to start understanding what's driving the business, and I want to be able to pivot and change quickly. So the first thing you got to do is first change your mind that you're no longer just doing this as an exercise, right? A lot of people look at the income statement, balance sheet, and just say, it's for my tax guys, it's for my auditors. But once you start going in and say, there's a story in there, and that story is going to help me understand my planning and help me understand the direction I'm going, then you're able to start thinking differently. And I think that's the first step in this overall process, is change your thought process of what the purpose of this is. And then you're able to start moving down that journey and taking the next steps.
Gotcha. Good points. Hey, John Head, anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, you bet, John. Jim, good to see you guys. Thanks for inviting me to this session today. You know, it's interesting. If there's anything that this pandemic has given us, is a new perspective on why planning is such a critical capability inside organizations. I mean, arguably, there's probably only a few industries that probably haven't had to worry about it because as a result, you know, their demand has spiked through the roof. But the vast majority of industries have had to really rethink what's going on. And there's probably not one organization that hasn't had to sit down at the board of directors level, at the executive level, and gain some perspective on how has our business changed and what do we need to do to manage that and be ahead of it and mitigate the risks and mitigate the challenges or take advantage of the opportunities. So to get out of the mud, you know, our challenge would be, don't let a good crisis go to waste, right? Let's leverage this and understand that even though we may not be facing crises on a regular basis, you are constantly facing new demands and new threats, and new competition and new products and new service offerings that should constantly be challenging in terms of how do we pivot and take advantage and mitigate risk on a go-forward basis. And planning is at the heart and soul of that. You have to do it.
Absolutely. As a follow-up, you know, hopefully we're not going to have too many more pandemics anytime soon.
For sure.
But that doesn't mean you don't need to think about these things going forward. I think it's just been a lower priority for folks.
Yep. Yeah, to that point, if you think about what the government's done to inject so much liquidity into the market, what is that going to look like for us from a long-term perspective? Or if you're in the commercial real estate business, right? I mean, your world's going to look different going forward. So if you're a REIT, if you're a developer, if you own a bunch of buildings, right, you got to start thinking about what occupancy looks like on a go-forward basis as a result of what we experience. So there are definitely industries that need to continue to do a lot of scenario planning and forecasting and understand the demand points of what's happening in their industry so that they can be prudent and efficient with the resources they have inside their organization.